Hi everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Talking Sense with Karen and Hayley. So this video we're going to talk about how to avoid mistakes when you're buying fragrances for somebody else. Now we've decided to do this video at a topical time because at the end of the month, on the 31st of March this month, it is Mother's Day. So you might be wanting to choose some fragrances for your mothers, your grandmothers, and it can be quite a dodgy territory to get into because sometimes you might buy what you think is the perfect fragrance for your loved one, when in fact it's not. So Karen's going to talk about how to avoid some of the mistakes and the pitfalls that we might get into when we're buying fragrance for someone else and not ourselves. So I'll pass it over to you, Karen.
Oh, thanks, Hayley. I'm gonna involve you. I'm gonna involve you in this because I think it's very much a conversation. Yeah. So there's probably some basic ground rules. So when you're buying perfume for somebody, you want to consider to a degree. Not, there's no hard and fast rules, right? Saying ground rules was the wrong thing. Guidelines to kind of respect. Something, for example, that is a favourite that's been endorsed by Ariana Grande. I know she's got a line of perfumes out there. Actually quite nice. They're sweet smelling and quite fresh. But your grandma might not like them. So because, Ariana Grande is, 12? And... so there's going to be a discrepancy. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is your grandma's not going to like what your average teenager is perhaps going to like in the main. It may be that your grandma loves to be fresh and smell of fruit pastels, but who knows? But there's a point there. So perfumes tend to come in families, so they're loosely grouped. And I've just got notes down by the side of me because it's hard to remember what you want to say when you're on camera, isn't it? So the common families are floral, citrus, sweet, green, spicy, sheep, which is tends to be slightly woody, more feminine. There's also fougere, which is tends towards the more masculine end of the spectrum, and then your orientals, which would be your where your vanilla based fragrances are, and maybe more spicy as well. And then there's a crossover between orientals and florals, which is loosely known as florientals. Mm-hmm. So you can sort of get an idea which family a perfume sits in, and that might guide you as to who to buy for, because you get a general what to buy for whom, rather, because you have a general idea of what they would like. Do they like something really fresh, or do they prefer something more sultry? Something more fresh would be in your chypres or your sweets and citrusy end of the spectrum, and then your more sultry would be your florientals, orientals, and spicy fragrances. So those are your sort of very rough guidelines. I've also made a note of one that's less commonly known, that someone in a group I'm in that specialises in just it's full of fragrance lovers, basically people who are obsessed with fragrance. And this particular guy talks about gourmands all the time, which is quite a niche area of perfumery. But some of the descriptions that he comes up with from makers that I've not even heard of are just amazing. So if you want to, you can smell like a hot chocolate with vanilla sprinkles, or you can smell it like a really deep, rich cocoa, or really vanilla, but not a girly vanilla. It's just amazing. And you can have cognac notes in perfumes and all sorts. So, but the way to avoid the mistakes when you're trying to choose something for someone is to think about what they like in general. If your mum tends to, I don't know, walk around in only silk dresses and high heels, you know, and wouldn't dream of wearing jeans and trainers anywhere, then I wouldn't suggest buying her a fruity smelling perfume anywhere on the spectrum. She's going to be more likely to enjoy a Floriental or a Chypre type perfume. Equally, if your mum tends to be in jeans and trainers and more active wear, and she's rushing around, and you know she's always, you know, buzzing about, and she's generally very lively, then she is more likely to like a citrus or a green type of fragrance. You can feel free to step in and argue with me at any point, Hayley.
I'm listening to you. This is very interesting.
So you know, there are those sorts of very generic ways of looking at it, but basically that's what I would say. If your mum is a dresses and high heels type of person, then go towards the floral, oriental, and more woody type of fragrances. And if she's more informal, then go towards the lighter, more top note, rich end of the spectrum, green perfumes. So I'm deliberately trying to keep away from brand names, because these days there's such a huge variety of fragrances available. But across the sort of the pricing spectrum, if you like you can, for example, go to for the English audience, you could go to Next, and they have perfume samples generally near their counter, and those perfumes are really quite inoffensive. They tend to be designed to be acceptable to the maximum number of people, and they're great on the budget end of the spectrum. And then you go to the department stores and test out the likes of Chanel and Guerlain, Dior, Lancôme, those sorts of fragrances, and then you'll be able to get more advice from the consultants who are there in order to help you choose the right one. And I suppose in a way your budget's your budget, but it's more important, I think, to have that personalised advice when you're buying a bottle of perfume that's upwards of £70.
Yeah, that was going to be one thing I suggested is what you could do is, well, the first option would be you could ask what kind of things that they like, but if you're wanting to keep it a bit of a secret to your mother or your grandmother, is just go and see what they've got already. Go and see what they've got on their dressing table, and which perfumes they've got. It may be that they're a particular fan of a particular brand, in which case, has that brand got a new one out that they've not yet purchased? That would be a perfect gift for them. But if they've got a mix of tastes, they've got a mix of different things there, what I would do is write them down. And there's a lot of resources online. There's like Fragrantia, those websites.
Yeah, Fragrantica it's called. So it's like fragrance with ICA on the end, fragrantica.com.
Yeah.
It's a great resource for...
And they can group perfumes together, and then they also make suggestions of, if you like this, you may like this. Or just go to somewhere like a department store, like Karen says, and the fragrance consultants there, they are trained on the different types of fragrances, the different families, and they will be able to make some suggestions for you to say, okay, well, if this is the type of fragrance that they like, have you thought about this one over here? And they can give you some suggestions, and that would be a good place to start if you're complete novice to it and you don't know where to go. Would just be see what they've already got, and then ask other people that have got the know-how and to do it. And just to add on to what you were saying before, Karen, as well, I think a woman's personality can be very representative of the type of fragrance that she likes. And also the age. Typically you'll find maybe some older women are more into the florals, the chypres, the orientals, the things that are a little bit more heavier, a little bit more sophisticated. Younger generations because of the evolution of fragrance trends over time, tend to be a bit more on the lighter side. You'll get a lot more citrus and fruits, red fruits, for example. They came in pretty strong a few years ago. And marine notes, very watery, fresh, things like watermelons, apples, things like that. Like when you think of it, the DKNY one, which was just an apple. That was just
actually in an apple-shaped bottle, wasn't it?
Exactly. So that kind of like, you would be looking at the younger generation there. We're stereotyping a little bit here. There are people who have different tastes. I'm quite eclectic with my fragrances. I like typically I'm more on the fresh, fruity, floral side of it, a bit more lively, a bit more vibrant. And I don't necessarily go towards the heavier fragrances. However, I've got a friend who is younger than me who absolutely adores cheaper fragrances, like really heavy, woody, spicy, jasmine notes as well. So that would be, rough guidelines would be more heavy and sophisticated for the older crew, and then a little bit lighter and fresher and fruitier for the younger ones. But do just look at their fragrance preferences with what they've already got. And actually what you might want to consider as well is that recently Chypre has kind of been, I would say, reinvented. They've modernised it a lot. They've made it a lot fresher, a lot more accessible, not as heavy floral and woody as it once was. So they're trying to modernise it and make Chypres appeal to the younger camp again. And there's a lot of them out there that are making a bit of a comeback. So you might want to even consider that's a huge trend at the moment. There is a lot on the market out there. And it could be something just for someone to try, something different, because they might have already kind of, I would say, drawn a line under Chypre and said, oh, I don't like that. But the fact that they're making it more accessible to the younger crowd by freshening it up a little bit could be a consideration to introduce them to something a little bit unique and different. Because I don't know about you, Karen, but sometimes, I love getting perfume. I'm a perfume lover. But sometimes when other people are buying me it, I probably get a little bit more excited by something that's a little bit different to what I would normally buy, because this is going to make me sound really tight, but I am a northerner, so we'll go. But if I'm buying a fragrance of my own money, and I think it probably comes from the fact I used to work in companies that sold fine fragrances for like £5 or something. So like it was, I would just spend lots of money on lots of perfume and not actually have spent a lot. But now I'm out that side that world, I'm looking at like 60 quid a bottle and I'm just like, wow. So I don't necessarily want to take a risk when I'm buying my own perfume, because I'm a bit worried that I'll spend £60 on a bottle and then I'll not like it. But when other people gift you, sometimes it's nice to just try something not too outlandish. If you know that they don't like it, don't go down that route, because there's nothing worse than getting a perfume you don't like. But just try and see if there's something out there that has made something a little bit more accessible for them that they could try. And it is nice to receive something that you might not have originally have thought about, and try something a little bit different, a little bit unique.
Yeah, and the other thing I would say is if you feel that you'd like to go down the route of buying something personal like a perfume, but then as Hayley was just saying, it can seem like a lot of money for something that they may not like, then your mum, your nan, even your wife, if you're buying on behalf of your children, is going to appreciate the fact that it's a gift. So a nice coffret with usable things like bath bombs and hand creams and stuff that they can use in their day-to-day life that feels like a treat to them when they're using it, but maybe isn't going to be quite such a strain to buy and such a high risk item if I look at it that way, is also going to be appreciated. So we are fragrance lovers, and we're here to talk about perfume and hopefully try and educate you in how to think about them and understand them. But don't it's it's not written in stone. It doesn't have to be an £80 bottle of perfume. It's the thought behind it. We're both mums, so we appreciate the thought that goes into whatever we receive. Which, in my case, I can't remember the last time I received anything as expensive as a bottle of perfume on Mother's Day. I'm gonna have to send some memos.
Well, actually, talking about like cheaper alternatives, have you seen the ones in I can't remember, it could be both of them, but Lidl or Aldi, and they do, I've not actually smelt them before. I probably should, just out of curiosity, but I've got a few people that talk to me about them quite a bit, and they're like, oh, I've smelt the perfume in Lidl, it's really nice, and then you're looking at about £5 a bottle. That you can get some, based off what I've heard and seen from other people, they can be pretty good quality. So you don't, like you say, you don't need to go out and buy the equivalent of like Tom Ford, 160 quid a bottle. That's not that at all. And it's, like you say, it's the thought behind it, and you can get some really good quality fragrances that are really cheap and really reasonable as well. So.
And they might not last as long, but a £5 a bottle, it doesn't matter, because you can quite happily spray it until it's gone. Whereas with with your really expensive ones, you are going to tend to want to make it last.
Yeah, definitely. I've got a bottle of Tom Ford Blanc, and that super expensive, and I've probably sprayed it about twice in the last 6 months, because I'm really trying to eke it out. I just don't want to use it. So whenever I use it, I feel fantastic, and then people go, "Oh, you smell lovely. What is it?" And I'll go, "Oh, it's Tom Ford Sauvignon Blanc." But then, that's it. Like I'll leave it for very special occasions, and I just.
Oh no, you shouldn't do that, because it makes you feel good when you wear it. So why not feel good every day?
I should. Well, yeah, that's true. I should go to Tesco in it and just be like,
yeah, exactly. Swagger into Tesco. Right down those aisles.
Yeah. But then I'll have to get
your catwalk.
Yeah, exactly. Who needs a catwalk when you've got a shopping aisle? Going down the laundry detergent. Now we're sidetracked ourselves now. I don't know.
No, well, that's what I mean. This is what we're here for, isn't it? It's to show the joy of perfumes. But that's the thing, when they're really expensive, the tendency can be to want to save it for special occasions. In that group I was talking about earlier, there are people who literally buy 4 of something if they like it, because they're scared it will get discontinued.
That's true, especially when you're talking about niche ones, fragrances and artisanal ones that you might just stumble upon. They can just disappear within a drop of a hat, can't they?
Yeah, but I mean, even the big fragrance houses, the constant legislation changes mean that formulas have to be changed all the time. So people who are obsessed with perfume will literally eat beans for half the year in order to save up to bulk buy their favourite perfume, and then they won't wear it. So okay, they can still wear it in 20 years, but they've missed out the joy of strutting down the aisles at Tesco.
Which I'm totally going to do this afternoon.
Yeah.
But it's true. They could make nice ornaments. Have you seen the Caroline Herrera bottle where it's the shoe?
Yes.
It could be an ornament.
Yeah.
An investment piece.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of joy. There's more joy in perfume than what's in the bottle itself. It's
exactly.
It's the joy of giving, the joy of receiving, all of that sort of thing. Yeah. But that's the thing. Now you know a little bit about how the fragrance families work. If you're going to go down that route, then think about the persons that you're buying it for. Think about their personality, and that will help you to get close if you're unable to do research. And by research we mean go and look at their dressing table and see what's already there to get an idea of what they like.
Yeah. I sometimes think that's the safest option to do. Yeah.
So hope that's been helpful.
Yes, yes, and hopefully, like, let us know if you've bought anything for Mother's Day. Let us know in the comments below. You can tell us what you've bought and see if they liked it. But yeah, just drop any questions that you've got as well below. Give us a like or a subscribe, and we will see you on the next video.
Take care.